Hey, Lisa54. Good morning, darling. Hey, Ryan Gage. Oh, gosh. So I know that there's like a few lives going on and a lot of fighting, but I really think this is important. And no, it's not. Hold on. This is going to. Hold on. Hey, Lisa. Hmm. Okay. Hey, Fancy Face. Hey, Just Sub. Good morning. Okay. Like I said, I know there's a lot of fighting going on and a lot of things have been done in the community. But there was one particular live that happened last night that really, really, really upset me. Um, it was really harmful with some of the things she was saying. And I just felt like maybe Brandon and I could come and talk about it. Hey, Clancy. Hey, Ben. I'm going to start off with this clip. And I didn't get to clip the other clip that I wanted to clip. Clippity clip. Um, but this one's pretty telling. Let me play this.
It's a person in this community who was with me for a while, then went over to the other side. Now she's kind of in the middle. But she told me for the longest time that it was because of me she got off drugs. It was because of me caring about her. Welcome, NY Ditterbug. That it was because of me caring about her that she was able to have the strength to get off drugs. Now,
Okay. Because of Laura, this girl was able to get off drugs. Because of Laura, this girl had the strength to get off drugs and be sober. That's crazy. How arrogant do you have to be to sit there and say, well, it was because of me that this person got off drugs? Your ego is huge. Hey, Merrick, how are you? So, darling, what would you like to talk about?
Well, okay.
And
There was
look,
a.
you
Go
can
ahead.
talk about anything you want. This woman has said some vile ass shit about you, so let's just talk.
Oh, I don't care what she says about me. It doesn't. Not even on my radar. But I guess there's a few points I want to hit just based on the audio you played me last night. I'm gonna start by telling a quick story because I think it's important in terms of the topics we're looking at and just the situation that this has brought about. So in 2008, spring, I would say March of 2008. I was copping heroin with a good friend of mine who's since passed away. Um, we pulled up to the dope boy. The dope boy said, "Hey, this stuff is better than normal. Be careful." Now, it's pretty normal for a drug dealer to say, "Hey, this is the best stuff ever. This stuff's better than normal." But they don't usually say, "Be careful." That I can remember anyway. I don't remember anyone saying that to me, but this one occasion. So we pulled around the corner. Back then, to start my day, this would have been probably 8 or 9 a.m. in the morning. I would shoot 2 caps of heroin to try to get dope sickness off of me. I'm not really trying to get high. That whole part of my life's kind of over. I'm just trying to get well and then do enough dope to kind of get through the day. So I shot these 2 caps of heroin and then darkness, blackout. I came to with my friend driving me somewhere, driving down the highway, and he's just cursing the world. Very upset. That's all I remember. And then I was kind of like coming in and out of a blackout. And then finally I said his name. I said, "Troy." And he said, "Oh my God, oh my God, thank God, thank God, thank God." And we pulled over and I said, "What happened?" And he said, "You turned blue." So he said, "Look at your shirt. Look at the shirt you're wearing." And when I looked down, there was like, it looked like someone had spilled a bowl of macaroni and cheese on me or something. Just yellow, like slime all down my shirt. He said, I shot the dope. I sat back in my chair and my chin hit my chest and I turned blue. And I had some sort of like mild seizure and I actually kicked over his dope that he was about to shoot. And instead of fixing his dope and getting well himself, he took the initiative and jumped in the driver's seat and started driving me toward the hospital. We got out of the car. He tried to walk me around. I could barely walk. I'd overdosed on heroin. This wasn't the first time. This wouldn't be the last time that I do that. The reason I'm telling you this is because this is about life or death for me. I could tell you tons of funny stories. I can tell you some sad stories. I can tell you some prolific sounding philosophical stories. This is about life or death. If I don't do the things on a daily basis to stay sober, I'll drink, I'll use drugs, and I'll die. Now, at that point in my life, that was kind of where I was aiming for. That's kind of my preferred situation. But I didn't have anything to lose. I have a lot to lose today. I have a life today. I have a family today. I have a very beautiful life, really. So when someone starts to spill out misinformation about 12-step fellowships, about 12-step programs, about how one is to function or behave within a 12-step fellowship, and it's misinformation, I take notice.
Me too.
When someone is drinking, has a drink in hand, and is telling people what to do with their 12-step program, how to do inventory, what to do, what not to do, I take notice. Last night, Sarah played me audio of someone explaining that certain things are against the rules of AA and NA. I would love to see these rules. I don't know where these rules keep coming from, but if they could send me a copy, I'd love to read them. Because there are no rules. In the 1940s, there was starting to be a lot of 12-step groups popping up, a lot of meetings, what became 12-step meetings. Back then, they were just groups, people getting together, trying to figure out how to survive, how to stay sober. This is before the 12 steps were a worldwide thing. And these groups were starting to email starting to write and send through the mail problems they were having within their groups. There was a group in Florida back in the 1940s that was actually serving alcohol in the meeting. You know, you could literally order a drink while sitting there talking about staying sober. There were groups that weren't letting any black people in. They were saying, you know, groups in Alabama, groups in Georgia that were saying, hey, sorry, you know, good luck, but you can't come in here. So it was a different time, and this was all new. And people were writing Bill Wilson and Dr. Bob, trying to figure out what to do to improve their groups. And that's where the 12 traditions came from. 12 traditions are not rules. If anything, they were guidelines or suggestions to try to show people how to coexist and how to best have an environment of recovery within their recovery community. All groups are autonomous. If a group if tomorrow a group starts down the street from me and they decide they want to serve alcohol, they're allowed to do that. There's nothing in writing saying they can't. Probably counterproductive. It would probably be a very controversial group, but I bet you some drunks would show up. The reason I'm saying all this is there are no rules. That was the whole point. You really expect people to believe that some self-centered addicts and alcoholics are going to walk in a room and hear a bunch of rules and want to stay around? I don't know about you guys, but if someone started spitting rules out to me, I'm just going to head for the door.
Yep.
That's not what I'm looking for. And that's not a reality. Had there been rules in 2009 when I found recovery, or recovery found me, however you want to look at it, if there was a bunch of rules I was supposed to follow, you'd be listening to somebody else right now. Because I wouldn't be here. We also got to remember that in the 1940s, the 1950s, there wasn't a lot of sponsors to go around. You know, if you had 10 years sober, you were Bill Wilson.
You know,
Bill,
it was said that it's against the rules for a man to sponsor a woman or a woman to sponsor a man.
well, those guys sponsored women.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't have a choice. There wasn't enough sponsors to go around. Now, that's not to say you should do that or you shouldn't do that. That's just a fact and part of the history.
Hey, say Bobby.
Dr. Bob's very famous for having sponsored and worked the steps with over 5,000 people. That was the number they came up with. And in the literature, it says men and women. He wasn't trying to hook up with them. He wasn't trying to get money from them. He wasn't trying to go live with them. He was trying to help them find a higher power. He was trying to help them find a way to where they could help other alcoholics so they could have this miracle in their lives. The fact of the matter is, and once again, I said this last time we were on, like in the gay community, if the men had to sponsor the men and the women had to sponsor, that was a rule, there wouldn't be anyone at the meeting. The meeting wouldn't exist. It wouldn't be a community because people wouldn't be able to stay sober. Now, that's not my experience. That's the experience of what other people have told me. I've only been to one meeting where it was, quote unquote, a gay lesbian meeting.
And we know this to be true because Brandon's best friend is gay. One of his best friends.
Yeah, and that's his experience. He's had both male and female sponsors because that was what was going to help him get to the next point in his recovery. Because if that dude starts drinking, oh boy. Look out. Yeah. He's going to be on the news.
And I'm not trying to laugh at that. I just know true. The person.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's just true. He's on the news sober. So yeah, he starts drinking. Yeah.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I'll just keep my mouth shut about that. But, you know, this person last night was talking about how she was a sponsor. But she also said, I never got into AA. I never did AA or NA. So how are you a sponsor? Explain to me how you were a sponsor.
What do you have to give? What do you have to give someone? The purpose of a sponsor is to work the 12 steps with someone. Start at step 1, go on to step 2, get up to step 12. It's not to give them advice. It's not to share your problems with them or share your stories. That doesn't even make sense. Give advice?
Yeah.
I mean...
And to be friends with them. You have to be friends with them if you want to be a sponsor.
Not true.
Yeah, not true at all.
This is just misinformation. And like I said when we started, this is about life or death to me.
And it can be damaging for people that's looking for recovery.
It can kill people.
Yes.
Is what I'm trying to say. This misinformation can kill someone because they think there's a bunch of rules. They think they got to do this and that because so-and-so said so. It's on the internet, so it's got to be true.
I'm sorry, but Laura is an idiot. You know, people were in her chat laughing, talking about the 13th step, and she's sitting there like a dunce saying, oh, well, I don't know what that is. You know, most people in AA or NA joke about the 13th step. They know what that is. So I'm dumbfounded how you wouldn't know what the 13th step is.
And I don't care who says it. I don't care if it's this person or that person or if they like us or don't like it. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't.
All I know is that when misinformation is spilled like that and someone's trying to carry a disease and spread this disease of whatever they think they're doing, people could get hurt. This is a real thing. People can die. I have friends that are dead because someone told them some bullshit that had nothing to do with 12-step program. It had everything to do with that person's ego and opinion. And I stood over people's caskets that, and their kids are there crying. Their mom's there crying, going, what happened? They were doing so well. And I know that the jerk standing 3 people behind me was the one that told them, you should get off your meds. You don't really need medication. You shouldn't have that guy as a sponsor. You should get someone else. He's a jerk.
Yeah,
You should do this, you should do that, you know.
we have people like Laura that will tell people to stick a needle in their arm and die, but she was a sponsor.
Yeah, and then turn around and try to give information on how 12-step programs work. That's what I mean.
It's insulting and it's harmful to people, especially those that are not sober, looking how to get sober. Stop giving them misinformation. Stop lying just to boost your ego. Just stop. It's
Yeah,
not funny.
yeah, it's just someone speaking out of experience. They don't obviously don't know what they're talking about.
She never
Uh,
does. She
just
never
kind of
does.
making it up as they go. And that's fine. It's all over the internet. There's tons of it. You know, that's just one example. Um, it's just very sad that, you know, once again, anytime I hear stuff like that, I just have visions of standing in somebody's funeral and going, oh my God. Because they listened to some idiot that didn't know what they were talking about and was just making stuff up out of their ego, out of their wanting to sound like they knew what they were talking about. And don't get me wrong, there are plenty of guys I've sponsored where I looked at, maybe I should have said this, maybe I should have said that. I can't keep, off the top, I can't keep anybody sober. If I'm looking for people that I can keep sober, they're not alcoholic or addict.
Yeah.
No human power.
Shh, girls. Our dogs are play fighting.
Growling.
Yeah. But it's imperative that people understand that nobody can get you sober. Only you can get you sober. Nobody has that kind of power. If someone had that kind of power, I think everybody that suffers from addiction would be sober right now.
Oh, if I had that ability, you would be coming to see me on top of a mountain somewhere, and I'd be floating, walking across some water somewhere.
Yeah.
Amber said that she doesn't like steps 4, 8, or 9. I don't think anybody does.
Oh gosh.
And I always tell people it's not 4 you got to worry about, it's 5. You know, 4 is just the writing part. 5, where I got to tell somebody, that's just my experience. But I mean, and it's just rules. Are you kidding? Rules. Like, yeah, like I'm going to sit there and list a bunch of rules, go, oh, this is where I need to be.
And you know, it's not like I come on here and I'm trying to, you know, scream and yell about this, or people tell me I need to lighten up. Maybe I do, but when it comes to this topic, I'm not going to lighten up. It offends me. It bothers me. And, you know, when you spew out misinformation, that's going to turn people away and not make them want to go and check out what AA and NA is all about. And NA and AA helped save my life. It helped save my husband's life. And it's helped save many people that I love and care about. So I don't like it when anyone gives misinformation just to boost their ego and to make them look good. It's insulting to hear somebody say, well, this person got sober because of me. Are you kidding me right now? They did the work to get themselves sober. They put that effort in. Now, you may have helped them or whatever, but you didn't get them sober.
And if you did, they're not alcoholic and addict to begin with.
Right.
They never, you know, all the literature in AA is very clear. No human power can keep us clean, can keep us sober.
Brandon,
Yes.
last night Loooras said a bunch of addicts started AA.
What?
She didn't even know who Bill W. was. She had no clue, but she's a sponsor.
I mean,
she's sponsored people.
NA was started by members of AA. Most of the 12-step groups were started out of members of Alcoholics Anonymous. That's just a fact. They'll tell you that. Some of them people are still alive. You know, especially like Cocaine Anonymous. One of the famous ones is the guy who started Gamblers Anonymous.
Mm-hmm.
He was a guy in AA, and he quit going to AA meetings, and he just focused on Gamblers Anonymous. You know, he started this fellowship, and he died drunk. God bless him. I'm sure Gamblers Anonymous has helped a lot of people. But at the end of the day, he kind of forgot his primary purpose, and he forgot that, he never gambled ever again.
Thank you, Angie. I appreciate that. And congratulations on your recovery. And Ben, I am so proud of you. You have no idea how proud of you I am. 3 weeks, Brandon. That's huge.
Miracle.
Yeah, it's so hard to get a day. It's so hard to get a week. Lord, it's so hard to stay sober 3 weeks. Addiction's not a joke. It's not anything to laugh about or make fun of, or to tell people to stick a needle in their arm and die. That stuff is not funny. And to sit there and lie and say that you were a sponsor? Are you kidding me? I'm a sponsor, but I don't do AA or NA. You are such a liar.
Sponsor of what? Once again, I don't understand. I don't understand that line of talk. I don't get it. Because the reality is, what the hell do you have to offer?
Right.
To someone?
What kind of knowledge can you give them? What kind of tools can you show them if you don't know what AA is?
Once again, this kills people.
Yes, daily, every minute.
And as always, I'm not here to discredit, disprove, point the finger. Like, I don't care. I'm just here to say, look, there's a lot of misinformation online. There's a lot of people saying a lot of crazy stuff. Not that I'm right or I have all the answers, but I can definitely point out when someone's just wrong in their facts in terms of what something really is in relation to 12-step recovery. I'm no saint. I've had as many issues and problems with the 12 steps as anybody else.
Oh man, me too.
But it's worked. It worked for me. And I did not think it was going to work. I'm not one of those guys that, sat in meetings early on and at 3 weeks, when I was 3 weeks sober, I wasn't thinking, oh, this is going to work. I was thinking, this ain't going to work. What? But, thank God, thank a higher power for somehow helping me hold on long enough to where I had that change.
Sweet Melissa, I have been there. She says, they told me in detox it was easier to get clean than stay clean. I thought, nah, not me. Once I'm clean, I'm clean. I learned very fast I was wrong.
Yeah.
That was me. That was definitely my story. Like, I would tell myself, well, once I get through detox or once I get out of jail, I'm going to stay clean. No, I didn't know how to stay clean. I had to learn tools in order to keep myself clean. I don't always go to AA or NA, but I can tell you what, it sure did help me. Those 12 steps taught me a new way of life.
I think that's one of the big misconceptions. I think people think like, oh, once you're clean, you got it. That's it. All you got to do is just, get the drugs out of your system. That's not the case. The ism shows up once drugs and alcohol are gone.
Coffee Chat, she really is. She says it makes no sense to say I'm a sponsor and not know the steps. She's delusional. She's absolutely delusional. She's got this grandiose, oh gosh, I can't even think right now.
And you can't fix delusional.
No.
You can't. No one's going to be able to reach or fix that. That person has to have their own journey with their own distorted reality.
Yes, Loooras the sponsor, Marianne.
We're just here hoping that maybe someone who heard that misinformation will hear this and think, okay, there aren't any rules. I can go to the meeting. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I'm not saying that they're going to hear Sarah talk and just turn on a dime and head over to a meeting. I'm just saying, look, this isn't easy. Getting clean. I always tell people, you want 90 days, punch a cop. You'll have 90 days, 6 months before you know it. Jails and rehabs do not turn out winners. If getting sober was it, that's all you need.
Thank you, Mommy of 3 girls.
You would
Thank you
just be
too for all
separated
of
from the
you two in this
chemicals.
community. Prayers for True Helper. And yeah, I want to bring that up also. True Helper, you know, people are trying to discredit him, discredit the good that he has done. And I'm telling you, that might be your experience, but it's not my experience. I've known True Helper to help a friend of mine. I've known True Helper to reach out to me to try to get help for someone. And I know how True Helper has talked to me. He's never tried to um, scam me. He's never tried to scam anyone that I am friends with. All he has ever done is try to show a different way for people to get help. And he actually got this girl into rehab. And that is huge.
That's a
And here
miracle.
people are trying to discredit him, saying that he's not what he claims to be. What is he trying to claim to be? All he did was help someone. Why is that so bad?
Because people that talk the talk, they don't actually walk the walk, they just talk. When they see
Amen.
someone actually doing it, they're like, oh, no, 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 no. We can't let somebody actually do it and look good and look like they actually helped somebody, because that would make them look bad. So they try to take control of the narrative and say, oh, no, they're this, they're that. Happens all the time. Because they're afraid that people are going to notice that this is someone doing something positive, that this is someone
Yes.
trying to move in the right direction. Call it evil, call it dishonest. I don't know what to call it. It happens all the time. People want to take control of the narrative, so they look good, so they can push the people out that are actually doing the deal.
Yes, Remy, you're right. Remy says, Sarah, you know why? Because it's not her doing it. I heard her the other night say, well, True Helper just says things that I say. Are you kidding me, Laura? Your arrogance precedes you, because that is absolutely not true. I've never heard True Helper tell someone to stick a needle in their arm and die. I've never heard True Helper say the wrong person committed suicide, the wrong parent committed suicide. I've never heard True Helper ever talk like that a day in my life, because he wouldn't. He has morals, he has decency,
And
and he
compassion.
has respect for others. And yes, he has compassion and empathy, which Laura lacks. She'll come on and admit, I got fired because I don't have empathy. Who admits that? But you as a sponsor, but you ain't got no empathy. I'm calling you out as a liar, Laura. You're a liar, and you caused more harm than good. Yes, Ben, Laura is dumb. You know, I'm not sitting here saying that I'm any kind of like uh recovery guru, because I'm not. I've made so many mistakes. I've screwed up. I can't tell you how many times I've had to go into detox and rehab and lockdown units because I could not stay clean, because I refused to try AA or NA. And guess what? Once I did try it, it worked. It's worked 5, 6 years so far. So for somebody to come online and say that I was a sponsor and I got people clean, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. Sorry, that's just how I feel. And it bothers me because I know people that are suffering at this very second. I know people that's trying to figure out a way to get well this morning.
Yeah. It's a whole lot of people copping dope this morning,
Oh boy.
you know, and they would give anything to have the life we have,
Yeah.
you know, and they can't even imagine. Trust me, I've been there. You can't even imagine what it's like. I could not dream up the life I have today because it was just so impossible. You'd have told me that my life would be like it is now. No way. I just wouldn't believe it. It's too far fetched. You know,
You know, I was the homeless girl behind a dumpster eating out of it on Thanksgiving. Here I am today, 6, 7 years later, and I'm going to be making a huge dinner tomorrow. I only want people to know that, you know, if you're hurting, if you're still using, I've been there. Your whole life can absolutely change. You can have the life I have today if you just give this a try. I'm very passionate about recovery because I've been at the bottom. You know, addicts will sit there and say, "Well, I can't get clean. I can't do this. I can't do that. I'll never have this kind of life." Yes, you can. I'm proof of that. Brandon's proof of that. Coffee Chat is proof of that. There's so many of us that are proof that it works, that it can happen for you. Just try. Give it a try.
And that's really ultimately what Sarah just said. That's the most important thing we have to say. Everything else, like I said, I'm not here to discredit or point the finger. I don't care. I care about not going to funerals anymore. I care about my blood family members being able to get to a place of recovery. I care about the 16-year-old girl that's putting a needle in her arm for the first time, not knowing what's coming. I care about her. I care about her kids. I care about her mom. I care about the future of people that are picking up, taking a drink for the first time, hitting a joint for the first time. Eventually, some of them are going to survive and find recovery. And if we're not there with a message of recovery, if we're not around saying, hey, come with us, we're going to go get some coffee and, talk about staying sober. Where are they going to turn? Are they going to turn to someone who's spewing misinformation and telling them about rules? Maybe. And if they do, I don't know that they'll make it. That's not up to me. It's not up to us.
I'd like Laura to find me those rules that say a man cannot sponsor a woman.
They don't exist.
They do not exist.
Like I said, each group's autonomous. The individual groups are autonomous. There's no one at the top, and there's no one at the top saying you can or can't do this. There are whole bloodlines of fellowships of big book culture, people in AA, where it doesn't matter if your sponsor's a man or a woman. It doesn't matter. Who cares?
As long as that person's getting help, who cares? At least they're not out on the streets using.
Yes. It's not about always being there for the right reasons. You're still there. You're there. And give them that opportunity. Life's going to happen.
And I have never heard anyone ever say, okay, wait a minute, let me redact that. I have never heard anyone in AA or NA say, well, I got this person sober. I'm the reason that person's sober.
Because they wouldn't.
No, they wouldn't at all. Not at all.
A, because it just sounds ridiculous. B, because once again, if you got the power to keep people sober, you got me smoked. I mean, it's just not a reality. My sponsor doesn't keep me clean. Are you kidding me? He can't keep himself sober. He has to go to his higher power and his sponsor to try to find guidance.
Key word, guidance.
I can't keep the guys I sponsor sober. No human power can help them. I'm a human power. I can barely put gas in my car. I know nothing about certain things. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do that. I know recovery. I know drugs and alcohol, and I know staying clean. Those are two things that I know. And at the end of the day, that's who I am. Sure, I'm a husband and a dad and a brother and a son and a sponsor. I'm all these things. At the end of the day, I'm a guy who could never keep himself clean. I'm a guy who would steal from his own mother. I'll steal from your mother to get one more fix.
Yeah.
And without this program in my life, I die. Guys like me die in hotel room bathrooms. I rot in penitentiaries. People see me walking down the street and they turn the other way because they know I'm just trying to scam up some money to get a fix, get a drink.
Like, we weren't just these addicts that used every other day or once a week. Like, it was hardcore. We was thinking about how we were going to cop dope the night before. I mean, so I hate it when I see people say, well, I never did AA or NA because it doesn't work. Or I was a sponsor, but I didn't do it. What are you even talking about? How was you
Nonsense.
a sponsor if you don't know what AA is? And you didn't go to AA. How do you know how to sponsor people then?
Well, they follow the rules.
Yeah. They followed the rules.
Yeah, they went to Google, and I Googled that just to see. I typed in I think I typed in what are the rules of AA, and it literally tells a story about how they made fun of people in the literature, making fun of people who tried to make up rules. For those of you that are familiar with Rule 62, that's out of the 12 and 12.
See, my husband, he's the guy that can read. You can say, Brandon, read this page out of AA, and he'll automatically know what it is, and he'll start reading it. He's pretty cool like that. He knows the big book by the back of his hand.
Because I have to. Because this is a lifestyle for me. When I was drinking and using, that was my life. You just see me walking down the street, you'd have known. You wouldn't have questioned, like, I wonder if that guy's going to college. I wonder if that guy's heading to work. Nah, you didn't know where I was going.
Yeah, Amber Kate, it's a suggestion to sponsor same-sex people, but not a requirement.
Amen.
Yeah.
And some, like I said, some groups will not suggest that because it doesn't matter to them. Because the people are there for the right reasons. They're not trying to be someone's sponsor to hook up with them. Yes, those things happen all the time. There are plenty of people that are, and that stuff happens in church. It happens at the gas station. It happens at college. It happens everywhere. So of course it happens in AA.
Yeah. People find each other in AA and NA and end up getting married and having beautiful lives.
Ben said Laura will claim she wrote the big book eventually. That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
Ben's pretty funny.
That's awesome. No, I like I said, I care less what she says. When that night that Sarah showed me her drinking, telling people how to do the 4-step, that was all I needed to hear. I don't need to really hear anything else. I get it. I know what that is, and that's fine. Someone who just kind of rides on ego and tries to share whatever I don't know what to call it. Delusions, whatever.
Delusions of grandeur.
Oh, yeah. And it's just, it's a reality. There's plenty of people out there like that. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is.
Serenity here. I'm so glad you're here. She said, at my lowest, I took a handful of pills and hoped I wouldn't wake up. Now in recovery, and I thank God that I did. I thank God you did too.
Me too. Because you're not alone in that. I was just thinking about when I was telling that story when the stream started about me and Troy and I overdosed. And so 2 days before I got sober, I went and bought $100 worth of dope and tried to get on up out of here. And
Sabrina, honey, thank you. She said, Sarah and Brandon, you both are much needed and blessing in this community. Thank you for all you do. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're a blessing in this community too, Sabrina. All of you are.
Well, you're here.
I'm so grateful for all of you. Yeah, absolutely. You're here.
Trying to have a conversation about something positive and the facts and the reality instead of, talking about stuff that doesn't make any sense. A couple days before I got sober, it had been January of 2009. I shot as much drugs as I could, and I couldn't die. My body just wouldn't stop, and I was pretty frustrated by that. And that day, I actually went and tried on suits for my funeral. That's what I did. I didn't know where to go. I didn't have anywhere to go. Probation wouldn't see me. I begged probation to lock me up, and they just weren't in. So I went and tried on suits. I'm so glad that there was a recovery program available to us, when it was our time. Because not every town's like that. And not every area of the world has that. There are plenty of people out there right now across the world that don't have another option. They don't know any different.
Brian says, do you mind talking about Brandon's old workplace? I have a story. Which one are you talking about? The Christopher House?
Or Access?
Oh, gosh, Brandon, I didn't mean for you to say that. Now people will...
Oh, I don't care. They don't care. I don't care.
Yikes.
Brandon's old workplace.
Well, Access is where Brandon and I met, so... I was in a lockdown unit.
Yeah, I've worked a few different places, all of which were God-given and right on time for me. I was trying to get out of working in direct contact. I just got to a point where it was hard to go to meetings. I was literally talking about recovery 40 hours a week, going to meetings at night, and I got honest with my sponsor, and it just I may go back to counseling full like direct contact. I'll probably always like answer phones and do that kind of work in one way, shape, or another. You don't have to have credentials for that. I just I just got to a point where working in direct contact was just too much for me. I
Well,
got
let's not
really,
say too much, because I don't want people to start digging on what you do, where you work, because there's been a few doxes the past few days with my son's full name and my husband's full name, and saying that he's still doing cocaine and this and that, and that's just absolutely not true. The trolls are getting ridiculous, and I know they're doing some digging on me and my husband, and I need it to stop.
they won't stop.
Well,
Cocaine, that's
yeah,
the
yeah,
most
yeah.
boring, pointless drug known to man.
Hey, Vito.
If
Yeah,
I was
cocaine's
on
disgusting. I
if
don't.
I was on cocaine, you'd have a different speaker this morning for sure. Because I'd be stuck in a bathroom, peeking out the windows. Yeah, I'm one of those, like like people do cocaine and get real chatty and they want to talk. I will not talk to you. I don't actually want to be around anyone if I'm doing that substance.
Yeah, I'll
So
lock myself into a bedroom with a
yeah,
bunch of cocaine and a needle, and I don't want to be around anyone.
yeah,
That's my
I know.
story. So yeah, if we were doing cocaine right now, we wouldn't be on here. Lord, I wouldn't even be on YouTube to be in general.
I wouldn't have a cell phone.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't have this house. I wouldn't have anything. I wouldn't have a car. I wouldn't have my son. So
If you saw me, you'd be like, this dude's strung out on cupcakes, not cocaine.
cupcakes.
It's just a fact. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with that drug, but it usually causes loss of appetite.
Yeah.
Which I desire. I wish I had a loss of appetite, but no, I'm just joking. I've lost
RK,
some
that's
weight.
my husband, Brandon.
Yeah.
He's a funny guy, but he's pretty intelligent when it comes to AA, and it's a part of our lives. And so when we hear people saying the most nonsensical things, I'm going to call it out, because you're causing harm to people. You could potentially cause someone to die by saying some of the things you did last night, Laura. So that's why we're live talking about this today, because it's important.
Yeah, it's my life, man. This thing really saved my life. Like, I'm not just saying that. I know it's cliche. I know it's corny, but man, I was dying out there, and I was very okay with dying.
Yeah, me
And
too.
I was handed a moment of clarity. I was handed honesty. I don't know where it came from. I'm assuming a higher power, because that wasn't me. I sat in front of a probation officer and begged him to send me to prison. Please, please lock me up. Because the reality was I can't stay clean out here. I do fine in an institution. Usually, I've been kicked out of a few, but usually I can stay clean in rehab or a jail. And thank God they locked me up. Give you an idea how crazy I was. On my sobriety date, I turned myself into a probation officer, and he was really impressed with how honest I was. He was like, wow, okay. Because I told him, I said, I've been using, if you drop me right now, I'm going to have opiates and benzos in my system. I've also been consuming alcohol. I don't think I was doing any cocaine. I'm pretty sure. I just
Cocaine's
couldn't
gross.
afford it. I just couldn't afford it at that point. I didn't have time to play around. It was heroin and whiskey and beer, and Xanax if I had the extra money. But they offered me, so the probation goes, okay, because of you turning yourself in, we're going to offer you, instead of going to prison, why don't you go back to treatment? Go back and go back to the treatment center. And I said, no. He offered me 6 months in a jail program that was also like a rehab. It was
The STOP program.
no, it's called Greenleaf. It's Greene County's cognitive behavior modification.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of like a military style. You got to make your bed every day. You got to tell on other people. It's called a pull-up. Just a different variety of treatment. I said no. They offered to release me right then and there, and I begged them to send me to prison. So they gave me a choice. Do you want to do 60 days, 6 months, or 2 years? I picked 2 years. That's how crazy I was.
That's how
Now,
tired you were. You didn't know
oh,
how to.
so tired. And by the grace of God, I ended up only doing 70 days when it was all said and done because of, and the probation officer told me, he said, you were the only person in the history of this county to turn yourself in this way and be offered all those things and beg to go to prison. So you're the first person we know of to do this. Pretty proud of that. As crazy as it is. Got to be number one at something, right? But
See, that's the opposite for me, man. I was going to my probation officer saying, please don't send me to jail. Please. I don't want to go. Put me in a program.
Well, I know how to live in there. You know what I'm saying? I know how to live in jail. I know how to live in penitentiary. I don't know how to live out here. I don't know how to hold a job. I don't know how to keep relationships because I drink. And once I start drinking, I start using other chemicals, and that's that.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Amber Kay's saying right now, life or death. This thing killed my family. Killed my family. They're dead. They didn't get to go to rehab. They didn't get to go to a meeting. They died never knowing of another option, as far as I know. My grandma especially. My grandmother didn't know about 12-step meetings or going to rehab. She just knew that every day she had to have enough opiates in her body so she wouldn't be sick.
So M's asked a question. Let me find it. Is Adderall truly the same as cocaine? I know I hear that a lot, but people on Adderall don't seem weird like people do on Coke. LOL.
Adderall's much stronger than cocaine. Cocaine's a short-acting stimulant. Adderall's actually a methamphetamine. So if you've heard of crystal meth, it's not the same as crystal meth, but it's in the same category of chemicals. And it's long-acting. A line of cocaine, if it's good stuff, can last like an hour, maybe 2 hours. Adderall can last up to 12 hours. And the feeling's actually quite a bit stronger than cocaine, in my experience.
See, I have never done Adderall. I don't like uppers. I never liked cocaine.
Me neither.
Yeah, those were never.
Me neither.
I'm more the type that wants to take a handful of Xanax and be done with the day.
Yeah,
and it's not funny. Yeah.
No, I'm with you. I get it.
I've never done Adderall ever.
Just really strong amphetamine. Ritalin is an amphetamine. The step above that is Adderall, which is a methamphetamine. So it's just a few extra molecules within a chemical compound that make it longer acting and stronger. Hugely addictive, hugely destructive. But there are plenty of people that take it every day that probably need it.
Yeah.
That's just the reality of it. But similar to cocaine a little bit, but really it's a different class of drugs. It is a drug of abuse. Adderall is big in like the college scene, kids that are trying to like study and stay up all night to write a term paper or whatever. It's also kind of a gateway drug for people that end up on crystal meth.
Yeah, or bath salts.
Yeah, you name it. And any sort of speed, crank, you name it. Glass, that stuff's it's strong. Very, very strong. And I think the first time I did Adderall, I was like 14. And the guy gave me 2 pills. He said, only take one. But you know me, I'm an addict, so I took both of them at school. And about an hour later, I was sweating so bad, I had to go home. That's how bad I was sweating. I literally had to go and call my mom and say, you got to come get me. I just said I didn't feel good and got away with it. But yeah, it's just an unbelievably strong methamphetamine. So that's Adderall.
So I know that, I don't really know what else to say. I know someone's live right now trying to do damage control on what we're talking about, which is ridiculous because, Brandon and I don't have a reason to come up here and lie about anything. And we just want people to have the truth. And you know, whoever you are, there is a way, and AA and NA does work, you know. Nobody's going to be able to get you clean or keep you clean. Only you can do that.
And just the big thing I want to say is that, once again, I'm not here to discredit anybody. I don't care. The only thing I'm trying to say is that an addict and an alcoholic can and will lose the obsession of drink and use if they work the 12 steps with a sponsor, hopefully, and do that through the literature. If you do those things, you can have a life beyond your wildest dreams.
Amber.
I'm a person who was almost dead. I was very close to death numerous times, and I got a lot of friends and family that didn't make it. So it's a big gift in my life that I get to be here to talk with y'all and just say, hey, it's going to be okay. You know, it's going to be all right. I know today sucks. I know you're trying to, you know, if you got 3 weeks, you're trying to get to 4 weeks. I know if you got 1 day, you're trying to get to 2 days. I know if you're still using and you're on the fence, and you don't know what to do. This thing gets better, but we got to do it together. It's not something where I can just take my miracle and go hide in the bedroom and that's that. That's why we're here. We're trying to just share our experience, our strength, and our hope on this program, working for ourselves and many others. I don't care what anyone out there has to say about me or whatever. I don't care. I don't have time to care. I don't have time to have hate in my heart. I don't have that luxury, because hate for me could drive me towards a drink. So I have to constantly keep a clean house, or I'm in danger of drinking or using. Sarah will tell you, I'm just not a person that gets angry about what people say. I know who I am. I know who Sarah is. I've known for some time, so I'm not confused about who's who, and if we're staying sober. And I have no issues there. I'm grateful to be alive. I'm grateful to be able to do Thanksgiving tomorrow with my family, and I'm mostly grateful to you guys for showing up and supporting us in any way, even if it's just a comment, even if you're just listening. I appreciate that support, because it tells us that we're in the right place and we're trying to do the right things. You know, if there was one person here listening, I would talk the same. Hell, if there was no one here, I'd probably still talk the same. But at the end of the day, thank you for caring about this. Thank you for caring about other people and whether or not they get the right to stay clean or not. Because without that, we got to keep going to funerals. And without that, I got to stare at some kid's mom. You know, some kid's mom's going to come up to me and go, what happened? They were doing so good. And I got to sit there again and go, I don't know. I don't know what happened. I am so tired of that. 18, 19 years old, 20, 21, male, female, doesn't matter, black, white, none of that matters. What matters is a disease of the mind that's out to kill us. And no human power will relieve that disease or help us stay clean. Only a higher power will. The literature is very clear on that. So. But that's about all I got, Sarah. I got to get over to the shopping center.
Are you going Krogering?
I can't wait. It's going to be a blast.
You guys, thank you so much for, you know, coming to hang out with us, and thank you for listening to us. Thank you for sharing your experiences. And Sabrina and Mommy of Three Girls, thank you so much for supporting us. I really, really appreciate that. I really appreciate all of you guys. And I don't want to fight with you guys. I don't want to fight with anyone. I just, you know, I just like to set people straight when they're giving misinformation. And it just happened to be Laura, as usual. She's feeding false information to people, and that's harmful. That's all I wanted to come on and say. So I hope you guys have a great day, and I hope that tomorrow all of you have a great Thanksgiving. And with that, I think we're going to jump off here because I got to go write a list.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Thank you. Have a good day, everyone.